Hello and welcome to week 11 of Band of Bettors, a betting show for sports fans looking to be more data-driven. I'm your host, Brad Kronthal, here with my co-host, Spencer Kronthal. A busy and exciting week 10 just behind us. It's Tuesday and we're obviously looking already into week 11. Spencer, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Another big week. Another
As
great
you get
games. We had loss of our last unbeaten team in the NFL. The Dolphins, what's it, the 72 Dolphins are celebrating. And it's time to keep talking because we've got another big slate ahead of us as we come into week 11.
Yep, it's No Shave November, and I'm pretty pumped. Been winning some bets, so going to keep the beard going, and I think you've already quit on it, clearly.
I shaved a couple days ago.
So let's get started with our opening act, our most memorable moment from week 10. I'll hand it to you, Spencer. You can kick it off.
I mean, is there any place to start besides the Bills and the Vikings? I'm pretty sure we both have the same most memorable moment. What a game. Back and forth. The Bills have 10 chances to end it. Vikings hang in there. Captain Kirk leading them to victory.
Yeah, I think my favorite storyline here is the Jefferson Diggs dynamic, and this is my favorite moment as well. Diggs, former Viking, won it out, got traded to the Bills, obviously in a great situation. In comes Justin Jefferson via the draft for Kirk Cousins, and he has filled the void incredibly well, both with insane one-handed catches to save the game at that particular time. Jefferson's might be one of the best catches of all time, given the time, circumstance, and how he did it. Literally falling down, ripping it away from the defender on fourth down to save the game. Obviously, we know how it ends, and that was a critical reason as to why. But Justin Jefferson, 10 receptions, 193 yards and a touchdown. Diggs, 12 receptions and 128 yards. These guys have been incredible, and just to see them in the same game at their highest level was exciting and so much fun to watch.
Oh, it was absolutely incredible. That Jefferson catch, I'd put that right there with David Tyree in the Super Bowl. That's got to be number one given the circumstances. But right there with the Odell Beckham behind the head, backhanded catch. This was incredible.
He
Rips it
had to
from.
rip it away. I mean, that was an interception. And with one hand falling down, he ripped it away to corral that reception and give the Vikings life. What a game. So much fun to watch. And Minnesota, they pull it out. Kirk Cousins, 1 o'clock games. He's got no problem with those. If he stays on that timeline, he can continue to party on the plane rides home. So great game there. Let's get into our strategies. This was really, really fun. Monday Night Football game, Washington plus 11. Line might have even closed at some books at plus 11 and a half. I had one strategy that liked Washington. One. It was our Legatron strategy that we introduced week 9 of the season. Really a betting strategy built around kickers. And what went into the strategy is looking at kickers that have a higher extra points percentage, field goals made, and 50-plus yard field goal percentage. It liked Washington, and it seemed like the perfect system as Joey Sly, he went 4 for 4 last night, and 2 of his field goals, which were critical, was a 58-yarder and a 55-yarder. Betting with kickers coming into the week, it was hitting at 59% of games since 2020. It liked
And
Washington.
and Sly went off. The kickers were the difference. He goes 4 for 4. Elliott doesn't even attempt a field goal. I mean, obviously there were other factors in the game, but very interesting to see that the kicking strategy, which I think I would have discounted to say the least, came through clutch with the Commanders handing the Eagles their first loss of the season.
I mean, you can't discount it. You just can't. It's hitting. It's got a good sample size. It's got over 100 games since 2020. I'm looking at it now going into week 11. It's hitting at 58% since that time frame. Kickers, they win bets. People need to get this through. Kickers win bets. And I mean, you just couldn't have had a perfect strategy with the circumstances coming into the game and then how the game played out with 2 massive 50-plus yard field goals playing a pivotal point into why Washington covered. Obviously, that very end of game touchdown didn't really have much of a role, but they were up by 5 at the time before that happened. Just incredible. So I think this gives us time to go over one of our favorite aspects of the show, which is when we go over our receipts from last week, our bets from last week, and seeing how they perform. Spencer, I'm going to kick it off to you, and let's talk through the picks that you made.
Absolutely. So, interestingly enough, two of the ones I was most confident on, just personally, was Seattle and Cleveland. And
Same here.
obviously, both those didn't go our way. The Germany game, all the excitement over there. Maybe it was more of a crapshoot than we thought. Cleveland, I missed that one wrong. Miami is a freight train right now. Two, another three touchdown performance. I'm looking at his stat line. He's turning into Mahomes at this rate. Maybe the common denominator is Tyreek Hill. That's what I can surmise. But Mike McDaniel's pushing every right button there. Next one, I actually was pretty high on Minnesota coming into the week. Not that I necessarily thought they would win, but laying 6 at the time when I placed the bet, Allen was very questionable to say the least coming into the week. Figured it'll be a toss-up. Obviously, Allen plays looked pretty all right, throwing the ball, even running the ball, leveled a few players. But Minnesota able to not even squeak that one out against the spread, but take the win. Indy betting on Jeff Saturday, betting against Josh McDaniels. McDaniels made that one the easier choice. And finally seeing the Chargers, in LA, laying 7 points against the Niners. Obviously, it wasn't the best closing line value in terms of that play, but I saw 7 points. I like that offense led by Herbert and Eckler. I know it hasn't been the best year for them, but I looked for them to keep it close against San Fran, and that's exactly what they were able to do. Clearly, I knew what I was talking about as they covered by exactly 1 point. I'll take
Yeah,
the luck on that one. But 3-2, I'm up to 19-14 on the year. I see it says 20-18 at the
yeah.
top.
I
I
see
had
20 and
double, I
18
had
and 2.
double
I
pressed.
think you're going to have to explain this every show because
I had double pressed a couple games when I was first using the Bet Stamp app. Did not actually bet
so
them
a
twice.
couple. Why don't you double press a couple more wins moving forward, and that
If
way
you
it'll even
follow
it
the
out.
show, though, I was 16-12 last week. This is 3-2. That adds up 19-14.
I don't know. I see 2018 and 2.
The two might be accurate.
I just like I have to explain that every single
Every
week.
week,
You
if you
could have
were
just done
keeping
it right,
tabs
or you just.
mentally, 19-14.
I just found there were a couple games here that came down to the wire, and it was just crazy. I mean, looking at that Chargers game, I'm sharing my screen now. So I was the reverse of you this week. I was 2-3, and just like you, I felt really good about Seattle, really good about Cleveland. I thought we got good numbers there. Cleveland getting the hook, 3 and a hook there. I thought that would be a competitive game. It wasn't. Jacksonville, I was really, really confident in, and that one just kind of sucked. The way I was looking at that game was Jacksonville to probably be down by 2 scores and have a backdoor cover. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Let's do it. So there we are. Jacksonville plus 9.5. They lose by 10. Looking for a backdoor cover, and it just didn't happen. It played out pretty much exactly how I thought it would, and that game just did not work out. Made a couple plays later in the week, and that was Arizona at +3. I had at least 5 or 6 of my personal strategies on my dashboard looking at Arizona. I wasn't that confident, especially having to play a backup. But then when I saw the Rams were playing a backup, I felt a little bit better in Colt McCoy. And then the Chargers. That turned into an unnecessary sweat. And the Chargers defense, I owe you dinner because the 49ers had first and goal within the 10-yard line. They got it to within the 2-yard line, and it was third down, and the Chargers got a huge stop to save the cover there. They come away with a cover. So finished the week 2-3. A few games scared me off. Really didn't know what to do with the Minnesota game. Could have seen it gone either way. But same with the Colts. I had a few strategies that liked the Colts, but you never know. New coach, and then McDaniel seemed to be on the hot seat. Would he get his guys to play well for him with his job on the line? I mean, they're a train wreck. And Saturday comes in there for the Colts, puts Matt Ryan back in the saddle, and they eke out a victory. Not much more to say to that. Credit to him. I feel good for him. I mean, credit to Jeff Saturday. Got a lot of slack all week. And to come out, the team performed well, get a win, first-time play caller there. Credit to him. And I'm honestly, I don't know about you, Spencer. I'm pretty shocked that Josh McDaniels still has a job. at this current time.
Yeah, I'm standing by my pick of Nathaniel Hackett, but McDaniels shouldn't be too far behind him
Yeah, but Derek Carr is better than Russell Wilson this year. No doubt
this
about
year.
that. This year.
This year.
All right. It is time. Our week 11 alloy forecasts are in. These are our bets for the upcoming week. It's Tuesday. It's a really great time to find some value. Like last week, the Vikings at this time were 6.5 point underdogs. Then, with news coming out about Josh Allen and then not playing and then playing, they went down to 3. Then they came back up to 6. So, this is a really good time if you see some value in certain lines to get in on the action before the spreads start to move. So, Spencer, I'm going to kick it over to you. What strategies are you looking at this week and what bets are you making off of them?
All right, once again, I come unprepared because that's what the Alloy system allows you to do. I'm going to open the app up right now, check the games to bet because it's that simple. That's what I've done every week. I'm 19 and 14. You can debate it. I know the data is 20 and 18. It's 19 and 14. What I'm going to do is keep going with the strategy that works. Bradley, you've been going with multiple strategies and really compounding them, and that's been really successful for you. I'm sticking with my golden goose, my drive extender strategy. So what I see, plugging it in, 55% win percentage over the last 9 years, 9% ROI, really across heavy underdogs and close underdogs. Pretty consistent across both of them. We'll call it the whole underdog category. So who do I like this week? Well, just open up the app, and I'm seeing Tennessee +3 over Green Bay, the Jets to cover at New England, Chicago to cover at Atlanta. I was very hesitant about Chicago, but the Justin Fields renaissance. Lamar Jackson 2.0, has he surpassed Lamar Jackson now? Might be due to
It's
the play
because
call.
I stopped betting him. We had that discussion a couple weeks ago. I
I've
can't
actually
bet
got a
on the
bunch
Bears
of
or
games this week,
Commanders.
so we're still rolling. We got the Rams to cover at +3 over New Orleans and Vegas to cover +2.5 at Denver. In the heavy underdogs category, I got one game, and I'm very wary of it, but got to ride with the strategy. Cleveland +9.5 over Buffalo. Buffalo's going to be hungry. Cleveland just got smacked. Not feeling great about it, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games to bet on this week. When I've seen larger sample sizes, I'll happily run with the 3 and 2 I had this past week. See if I can get up to 4 and 2, maybe 5 and 1.
Awesome. And just looking at your drive extender strategy from last week, it went 3 and 1. So good job on that. So for me, like you said, Spencer, I always look at a few of my strategies, and if games overlap, I get that confidence to bet them. This week, I'm specifically looking at 2 of them and really seeing a trend here with good defensive teams covering, especially when they're underdogs. So the defensive pressure strategy, it was our alloy forecast last week. You can look it up on alloysports.com, read about it, what goes into it, or I can just tell you right now, and you don't have to read it all. So it went 5-3 last week. It's hitting at 61% for close underdogs this season and 65% for heavy underdogs. We love that from a win rate perspective. And what went into it are forced fumbles per game, hurries per game, quarterback hits per game. I'm really looking at underlying stats that aren't sacks, that aren't turnovers specifically, but these other stats that lead to those types of plays that maybe the sports books are overlooking. And I found some gold here. So this strategy this week is looking at 5 games. So like you, it likes the Titans, and that number is increased for Tennessee after that Packers win. It's now +3. It was +1 before the Packers game. Now the Browns as well, 9.5. I don't feel great about it, but again, the Browns are consistent with running the ball. I think they can get back on track here and keep it within that 9.5 point spread. May wait a little bit, see if it goes up, get to that 10 point number. Lord knows that would have saved us with Jacksonville last week. It likes the Bears. I made a stance that I would not be betting the Bears or Commanders. Whenever I like them and don't bet them, they come through. Whenever
And
I
here
actually
we
bet
are.
them, they don't. And here we are. So Bears +3 at Falcons. Can't discount what Justin Fields is doing. In a dome, he should be, really good. I might throw some money on the Bears. We'll see. Texans +3 versus Commanders. This feels like last week felt like a classic Commanders win opportunity where they play a team that's much better. They get some tough plays and they get the win. And then this feels like the epic collapse type of week that the Commanders have been known to do for 20 plus years. And then lastly, Cardinals +8 or +9, depending on where you look right now versus the 49ers. We'll see where Kyler Murray is. If they can stop the 49ers run game, Debo, they have a chance to cover here. We'll see JJ Watt. Let's see if he makes an impact there in that one. Another strategy, QB and D. Again, still looking at that defense, but also strong quarterback play. This strategy's hit at 67% over the last 2+ years since 2020. Again, it's looking at using the Wizard on the Alloy app, accurate passing, strong overall quarterback play, and a turnover forcing defense. And it's looking at teams coming off a win that also likes the Titans. It likes the Lions +3 at the Giants. And right now it also likes the Vikings +1 versus the Cowboys, which is interesting. That would obviously be more of a money line play to get a little more value out of that. But a lot of games in profitable spread buckets this week for me as well. And looking forward to a great week 11. Spencer, maybe you can get your numbers back up there to where you think they should be.
They are at 19 and 14. I think you just read off the entire slate of NFL games. So it looks like you'll be betting on quite a few. I always get excited when I see the app, see the data, and there's going to be weeks where there's only 2 games to bet on. Where I get excited is where there's 6 or 7 games where you get a bad beat or whatnot, and it rounds out in the numbers. Where you end up maybe have 2 bad beats, but 4 and 2 is not a bad outing. So big week ahead of us. I've got 6 games to bet on. Looks like Brad's got about 17 games to bet on, even though that's not possible. But looks like we got another exciting week of football ahead of us.
Absolutely. And we got football, and then football will be next week with the World Cup. So there's going to be a lot of bets to be had, but we're focusing on the NFL right now and cannot wait for week 11 to continue our successful bets and making some profit here. So thank you so much for tuning in. We are so excited for week 11. Come on and check out the Alloy Sports app on iOS, and then check us out on all our social channels at Band of Bettors, at Alloy Sports, and looking forward to sharing the conversation about this coming weekend. Good luck on all your future bets.